It was a crisp autumn evening in a bustling New York suburb. The streets glowed faintly under the amber hues of streetlights, and the air smelled of roasted chestnuts and fallen leaves. Anna Pearson, a single mother of two, hurried down Maple Avenue, her hands clutching a bag of groceries. Her thoughts swirled with unpaid bills, her kids' mounting schoolwork, and the overtime hours she'd need to cover the rent this month. Life had been a relentless grind since her husband's passing 2 years ago. As Anna turned a corner, she noticed a man sitting on a weathered bench near the bus stop. His clothes were tattered, his face unshaven, and his head bowed low. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. Anna hesitated. She was no stranger to hardship, but her cautious instincts warned her to keep walking. Yet something about the man's presence, a mix of vulnerability and quiet dignity, pulled her closer. "Excuse me, sir," Anna said softly, adjusting the bag in her hands. "Are you all right?" The man looked up, his deep-set eyes reflecting a sorrow that seemed endless. "I'm fine, thank you," he replied, his voice gravelly but polite. Anna hesitated again but found herself compelled to sit down. She rummaged through her grocery bag and handed him a sandwich. "Here, it's not much, but it might help." The man's hands trembled as he accepted the sandwich. "Thank you," he said, his eyes welling up. "You didn't have to do that." Anna smiled, a gentle expression that carried warmth and understanding. "Sometimes a small kindness can make a big difference," she said, standing to leave. As she walked away, she glanced back to see the man watching her, his expression unreadable. For reasons she couldn't explain, his gaze sent a shiver down her spine. The following week, Anna's life carried on as usual. Early mornings, late nights, and a constant sense of exhaustion. But every evening she found herself glancing at the bench near the bus stop. The man was never there. She wondered briefly about him and hoped he was all right. One night, as Anna locked up the diner where she worked, she noticed a shadowy figure lingering across the street. Her pulse quickened. The streets were empty, and her car was parked a block away. Forcing herself to stay calm, she started walking briskly, her keys gripped tightly in her hand. "Anna," a voice called from the shadows. She froze. Turning slowly, she saw the man from the bench step into the light. He looked cleaner, his face shaven, and his clothes less worn, but his eyes still held that haunting sadness. "How do you know my name?" she asked, her voice shaking. He raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "Please, don't be afraid. My name is Daniel. I wanted to thank you." "For what?" she asked, still wary. "For your kindness that night. You didn't know it, but I was on the verge of doing something irreversible. Your smile, your small act of generosity, it reminded me that there's still good in the world." Anna's heart softened, but her caution remained. "I'm glad I could help. But how do you know my name?" Daniel hesitated, then reached into his coat pocket. He pulled out a photograph and handed it to her. Anna's breath caught. It was a picture of her family, taken at a local park years ago. Her husband, smiling brightly, held their youngest daughter on his shoulders while Anna stood beside them, laughing. "Where did you get this?" she demanded, her voice rising. Daniel began, but before he could answer, a car sped past, its headlights illuminating the street. Anna turned to look, and when she glanced back, Daniel was gone. The encounter left Anna shaken. She couldn't explain how Daniel had the photo or why he seemed to know her family. Over the next few days, her anxiety grew. She started double-checking her locks and taking different routes home from work. Despite her precautions, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. One evening, while tucking her kids into bed, her oldest son, Ethan, handed her a crumpled note. "A man gave this to me after school," he said innocently. Anna unfolded the note with trembling hands. It read, "Your kindness saved me. Now let me return the favor. Meet me at the park bench tomorrow at dusk. Her first instinct was to ignore it, but something about the note, the desperation behind it, compelled her to go. The next evening, Anna arrived at the park bench just as the sun dipped below the horizon. Daniel was already there, holding a small, weathered box. "Thank you for coming," he said, standing as she approached. "I owe you an explanation." Anna crossed her arms. "You have 5 minutes." Daniel nodded. "2 years ago, I was a private investigator. I was hired to follow your husband." Anna's blood ran cold. "What are you talking about?" "Your husband. He was involved in something dangerous. I don't know all the details, but he was trying to protect you and your kids. He stumbled onto something he wasn't supposed to see. That's why he—" Daniel's voice faltered. "That's why he died." Anna staggered back, her world spinning. It was a car accident. The police said—" "The police lied," Daniel interrupted. "They covered it up to protect the people responsible." Tears streamed down Anna's face as she struggled to process his words. "Why are you telling me this now?" Daniel held out the box. "Because I found this in his belongings. I've been carrying it ever since, trying to decide what to do with it. After you helped me that night, I realized you deserved to know the truth." Anna took the box with trembling hands. Inside, she found a USB drive, a notebook filled with cryptic notes, and a letter addressed to her. She unfolded the letter, her husband's handwriting staring back at her. "My dearest Anna, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. I'm sorry for leaving you and the kids, but I had no choice. What I've uncovered is too dangerous to ignore. Take this evidence to someone you trust. Protect our family at all costs. And remember, I love you always." Anna clutched the letter to her chest, her tears flowing freely. "Why didn't you come to me sooner?" she asked Daniel. "I was scared," he admitted. "The people involved, they're powerful. But after meeting you, I realized that hiding the truth would be worse than facing the danger." In the days that followed, Anna worked with a trusted journalist to expose the corruption her husband had uncovered. The evidence led to a massive investigation, and several high-ranking officials were arrested. Though the danger lingered, Anna felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her husband's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. One evening, as she walked past the park bench, she saw Daniel sitting there, a faint smile on his face. This time, she didn't hesitate to sit beside him. "Thank you," she said. "No," Daniel replied, his voice steady. "Thank you. A smile for a stranger saved more lives than you'll ever know." As they sat together under the glowing streetlights, Anna realized that even in the darkest moments, a small act of kindness could spark a light that reached far beyond what she could see. Don't forget to subscribe Storytime with Harry for more interesting stories. Thank you for watching.